This is John Force, 16th-time Funny Car champion.
Hey guys, it's Justin Ashley, driver of the Phillips Connect Toyota Top Fuel Dragster.
Hi, I'm Robert Knight, 3-time Funny Car champion.
I'm Kyle Koretsky, driver of the Lucas Oil Chevy Camaro.
I'm Dallas Glenn, driver of the Rad Torque Systems Pro Stock Camaro.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
And you're tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
I tell you what, this is Anton Brown, 3-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And stay tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
If you want to be entertained, this is the show, and Darren is the guy to do it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first special edition of Monday morning edition, of Inside the NHRA live from the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As always, I'm your host, Darren Williams Jr., and joining me as always, my man right here to the left, right there, another DW, my man, Dave W. How's it going, Dave?
Oh, it's going good. Glad to be home. I wish I was still in Vegas with you guys, but yeah, an interesting Monday recap show. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Hopefully everybody tunes in. Had a good weekend, enjoyed the show. Glad to see everybody and ready to break this down from Las Vegas.
Hey, you see, I'm already off my game. Like, this is our first ever Monday morning show, and I'm like, it's Monday morning. We got the Monday morning racer behind us right there. See him, getting his work done. Say hi, Lee.
Gotta have it.
I usually say special edition of Inside the NHRA, but this is a special Monday morning edition of Inside the NHRA. So thank you guys all for tuning in. It's already a great crowd this morning, so I really do appreciate it. Streaming live here on Competition Plus YouTube and Facebook, streaming live on Dave W's YouTube channel and Monday Morning Racers Facebook channel as well. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Make sure to like this show, share this show, and let everybody know we are breaking down all the action from the 2023 NHRA Nevada Nationals from the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the penultimate race of the 2023 season. But Dave, action's actually not done here from the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Lucas Oil Sportsman Series will be finishing their action here today. So, man, it's technically the Monday Nationals here today.
Yeah, it's a shame that they didn't get going last night, but they were concerned. A cold front came through Vegas. The track temp started to drop, and unfortunately, they couldn't continue on. Kind of what happened on Saturday when we were there too. Man, it got really cold there on Saturday night, and then the dust started kicking up, the wind started gusting, and that was it. That was the end of the day. So feel bad for the guys that got to hang out and stay over an extra day. You always like to see them get them in. They were going to try on Saturday night. They tried last night, but they'll have to finish up the Sportsman here today, probably pretty shortly here, maybe in the background behind you.
Yeah, probably in about an hour and a half or so, I believe. 9:30 start time, I believe. That may have been pushed back, but pro testing will also be today, I believe, around a little bit after noon. So a lot of action here from the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But the Camping World Series did finish up yesterday. I mean, what a race we saw this past weekend. The stage is set. The championship stage is set for Pomona in a few weeks. Mike Salinas and Robert Hight, they get back into this championship fight. And Erica Enders and Gage Herrera, they pretty much have all but wrapped up their championships here in 2023.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody thought that Gage would have actually went to Pomona, but Eddie kept him close enough and made it to the final, was runner-up. So by 10 points, Gage has to wait till he turns in his tech card at Pomona, and then they'll give him the check and the trophy. But that's okay. All four of them are going to go on to Pomona. Erica only has to pick up 7 points in qualifying to over Greg Anderson to lock him out in eliminations. But stranger things have happened. I mean, if they get that HendrickCars.com Chevrolet flying in qualifying, gets low for the session with the points and a half, and Erica stumbles, which is something that we haven't seen really since the early part of the year when they were having trouble sorting the car out, and goes out first round. That's Greg's only chance. But I think the pro stock titles are pretty much set in stone. And once, I think by Saturday we'll have those done. But Sunday eliminations is going to be epic in the Nitro categories, especially in Nitro Funny Car with the top three within about 17 points, I believe it is. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and we have the updated points for you guys here today. We're going to show you guys that in just a little bit. But you mentioned Pro Stock. Like the saying goes, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, she's humming like crazy right now in Pro Stock. So, so it's looking like Erica Enders will soon to be a 6-time Pro Stock World Champion, tying one of my favorite Pro Stock drivers, Warren Johnson, the professor. Before we break this whole thing down, let's show some comments. My man, Dujane Bland, he says, happy Monday. First ever Monday morning edition here on Inside the NHRA. And then Mr. Ant Dog, he says, yesterday was off the hook. I definitely agree with that, man. Yesterday's race was amazing. And then Dino says, hi, love you guys from Fontana, California, not far from Ross State in LA. So shout out to Dino right there. And the Monday Morning Racer, who's behind me, says, there's an echo in the media room. Well, hey, nothing I can do about it. We just got to roll with it. Monday show, different setup. Just got to roll with it, do what we can do. And he says anything can happen. So like I said, we have a great crowd for this Monday morning show, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Dave, what are we going to kick the show off with, man?
I believe we said Top Fuel Eliminator.
Top Fuel Eliminator. Man, what a weekend for Mike Salinas and that whole Scrappers racing team. Number 1 qualifier, win the race, and they are back in this championship fight. On the edge of the fight, but they are firmly back in this championship fight going to Pomona, California in just a few weeks.
Yeah, incredible. And this was one of those, we had him. He was definitely under the do or done line, and he did this weekend. I mean, he had a lot of help with the other points contenders going out earlier throughout the day, but what a performance for this race, and it gets them right back. I mean, they have an outside shot. I wouldn't say that they're a good lock. They still need some qualifying help, and they're still going to need some help in Pomona, but get themselves right back in this championship picture is pretty awesome with 2 to go.
No, for sure. And, obviously the talk coming into this race was the big 3, Leah Pruitt, Steve Torrance, Doug Coletta. And, we're going to talk about it in just a little bit. 2 of our contenders went out early. Steve went the farthest, but, when Steve went out, that opened the door for not only Mike Salinas, but Justin Ashley as well. He took advantage going to the final round. And so he's, he has a lot of work to do in Pomona if he wants to win this championship, but he's firmly back on the edge of this fight as well. On the edge, I would say.
I would say on the edge, yes, I agree there. But at the same time, with the way they've got that car running now, those qualifying points, you get 4 for being low of the session now, and you got 4 sessions there. I mean, they could make a big chunk in qualifying, and that car has been hot. That car has been low ET of race day, of all the rounds, of qualifying rounds. So they've got the performance right now. I think that if they take a big enough chunk out of it in qualifying, Sunday can get real interesting.
Hey, remember who won Pomona last time we were there? Basically swept Pomona last time we were there.
Was that Mike at the Winter Nationals this year?
Justin Ashley.
Oh, Justin Ashley did.
Yeah. Won the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge, won the race.
That's right.
Basically won it all at
I
Pomona.
was thinking back to last fall. I'm like, Austin Prock won Pomona when we were here for the finals, but yeah, he's not in the picture at all.
But congratulations once again to Mike Salinas and that whole Scrappers racing team. 2nd win of the season, 9th of his career. Want to break this thing down, Dave? Let's go get into the highlights of Top Fuel Eliminator.
Here you go. Bring him up. Starting with Justin Ashley in his first round against Dan Mercier. Gets the whole shot and kind of just drives on down the speedway. The strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway takes out Dan Mercier here with a good run for him. A 3.736, 326.79 to advance into the second round. Here was your big matchup of the first round here, though. Leah Pruitt up against what I call a surprise and an upset, Josh Hart. Right there, Josh with the whole shot, and Leah cannot drive around him. And that was the upset of the day. Points leader gone.
I'll tell you what, me and Lee were in the back, doing the Peak Pit Notes intros, and I went up to go watch that first round. And when Leah went out first round on a whole shot, I went running back, and everybody on the starting line was looking at me like, what is wrong with this dude? Huge upset right there for Josh Hart, taking down your points leader in round number 1 of Top Fuel Eliminator. That is huge.
It is. And I mean, 044 on the tree, Leah 087, uncharacteristically late for her, and her 369 couldn't run around it. Then that opened the door. Here comes Steve Torrance and Clay Milliken, and Steve squeaks one by as Milliken loses the left rear slick in a explosion right at the finish line. Not sure if they ever released what happened, if there was a debris, a tire failure, what it was, but definitely a pretty scary moment there for Clay. Thankfully, got it stopped, got the parachutes out, got it stopped, no problem.
A crazy last few weeks for Clay Millick. You know, that big wheel stand in Dallas had the front half of the car, but, you know, a calamity again here in Las Vegas.
Yep. And then number one qualifier, Mike Salinas, comes up against Rob Passy, lays down just another clean, solid run, 369.5, 334 miles an hour to move on. And then your last points contender, Doug Coletta, comes up against TJ Zizzo, and Doug goes out 368.3, another 334 mile an hour speed, and TJ almost runs or matches his career best with a 371.9 first round. So that was definitely improvement. It was surprising to see them struggle through qualifying too, but it was nice to see them pick it back up on race day. That was definitely not a TJ Zizzo race weekend for sure.
No, for sure. You know, whenever TJ Zizzo comes out, always a strong race car right there. You know, like you said, unfortunately to see him struggle here in Las Vegas, you know, Ron Tobin, one of the best out here helping them out. So like we just saw, first round of Top Fuel, 3 of our championship contenders going at it. You know, the points leader out in round number 1, huge right there. Steve Torrence and Doug Coletta moves on along with Justin Ashley and Mike Salinas. Let's now move on to the highlights of round number 2, Dave.
Round 2, Mike Salinas against surprising Tony Schumacher. Again, another solid, strong run, 368.8, 334.48, puts Tony Schumacher on the trailer and advances Mike Salinas to yet another semifinal round here this year. Then we got the big matchup. Steve Torrence, Brittany Force. These two have had quite a history with each other. And surprisingly, both of them, again, don't know what's going on in the starting line, missed the tree. 083 for Brittany, a 118 light for Torrence, but his 367 at 330 drives around. Brittany seems like she was out of it a little bit early too. 378 at only 311 miles an hour, but that was a huge win for Steve Torrence. And then the monster matchup, Doug Coletta, Josh Hart, and he does it again. 046 on the tree to Doug's 071, and Doug's 371 cannot drive around his 373. Move Josh Hart into the semifinals and take the new, well, at the time, points leader, Doug Coletta, out. That means Steve Torrence, by default, is now the points leader by the semis. They were that close. The points lead changed hands each round of eliminations.
I'll tell you what, Josh Hart is a bad man. Giant killer here in Las Vegas, taking down the points leader round number 1 on a hole shot, Leah Pruitt, and then does it again. Doug Coletta never loses on a hole shot. That was surprising right there.
That was, and that's why I say a lot of these guys, you know, you look up and see what their times are, their reaction times throughout the year. I mean, Justin Ashley was hitting the tree too, 065 first round, 043 second round. But some of these guys were just off. The Brittany Torrence matchup was a big shocker to me. That Steve Torrence does not usually have a 118 reaction time. That was definitely not Steve Torrence like. So the car definitely saved him there.
And you mentioned that 118 light for Steve Torrence. That was a foreshadowing of things to come in the semifinals. So let's now move into the highlights of Top Fuel semifinals, Dave.
Starting out with Mike Salinas and Josh Hart. Josh fell off a little bit on the reaction time, an 079 light, and his 374 could not hold off Mike Salinas' low ET of race day, 366.3 at 333 miles an hour. That moves him into the final round and potentially back into title contention, depending on the outcome of Steve Torrence and the Justin Ashley matchup here that's coming up next. Visible hole shot for Justin Ashley, 036 to Steve's 097, and his 373 holds off Steve Torrance's 368. Incredible. All 3 points contenders lose on hole shots on race day. So that's amazing. At the end of the day, when it's like, hey, did you win or lose the championship? You could, that's got to weigh on them a little bit, because all 3 of them know that they could have advanced but lost it on their driving.
The door was wide open for Steve Torrence to have, you know, not a comfortable lead, but a little bit of a gap going to Pomona, California, just a few weeks. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, a 118 light in the second round, and unfortunately, you know, an 097 light in the semifinals. That's not going to get it done here in Top Fuel Eliminator. But Justin Ashley basically saved his season with that round win right there, a clutch round win for Justin Ashley in the semifinals right there. And you can agree with me or not, but you go back to the final round of Dallas when Steve lost on a hole shot to Leah, and then you lose on a hole shot here in the semis. He could have a pretty sizable lead going to Pomona if he would, you know, just was a little bit on the start line these last 2 races.
Well, and like you said, we're going to get to the point standings here after the final round. But yeah, I mean, you give him a potential to win the race. You don't know what he would have been here, but so that's potentially 40 more points there, and another 20 on Leah at the last race that he lost on hole shots. You put 60 points on him. I mean, it's almost a lock. I mean, everybody's going to really have to hope that he goes out first round, but it would really only be basically him and Doug going into Pomona instead of having 5 drivers that have a shot at it.
Yeah, like I mentioned, just not Steve Torrence like on the reaction times these last couple of races. So tough deal, but he leaves the door open. Final round, it's Mike Salinas, Justin Ashley. This is the 3rd straight final round for Mike Salinas in the final here at the Las Vegas Fall Race. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Leatherwood Distillery, Phillips Connect for Ashley. It is the Top Fuel final in Vegas. Big jump. Oh, Ashley's out of power. Mike Salinas drives to his 2nd victory of the year. 367.3 and 333 miles an hour. And credit where it's due. We did not talk about Mike Salinas getting himself back into championship form, but they will go into Pomona, California with a chance.
And he takes the Wally into his hand. And Mike, we talked to you ahead of this final, and you told us that you didn't really matter who was in the other lane, that you race yourself. You have put yourself back into this championship. Why should we have never counted you out?
Because you race yourself in every run, and you never count yourself out. You just keep moving, keep moving. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I got to see me.
Hey, we're in the middle of a show, man. Why are you talking to me? Justin Ashley on and off the throttle, has to pedal, gives it up, and Mike Salinas gets the win. 2nd win of the season, ninth of his career, and he is back in the championship fight, on the edge of the fight, going to Pomona, California. Let's now take a look at the top field point standings with 1 race left to go. Steve Torrence, 15 markers over Doug Coletta in 2nd. Leah Pruitt, who came in as a points leader, is now 34 points out. Mike Salinas, he moves up to 4th from 6th. He's 76 points out. And Justin Ashley rounds out the top 5, 82 points out. So with points and a half at Pomona, top 5 is looking like to be a pretty good fight with 1 race left to go.
Yeah, and I mean, the way that it plays out, Justin Ashley, I don't think they are more likely to put him over 90 than they are he's going to get an extra round. So he's going to have to try and match pace. Salinas, like I say, has an outside chance. He could pick up that 16 points in qualifying. He can get him, get himself in the 60 range, get him in the 2-round range. But I really think that, Justin Ashley is outside chance at best. Salinas can kind of seal his own fate, but it's going to be between Torrence, Doug, and Leah. Leah definitely needing to pick up those 4 points in qualifying, because it could come down to a winner-take-all final between any of those 3.
Oh, no, for sure. That is, Leah's number 1 goal. She needs to get that 34 under 30, and basically it's a 29 going into eliminations to give herself a better shot going into that and going into race day on Sunday. So looking like a triple threat match for this top field championship. It's going to be, I wish Pomona would start tomorrow. That's how excited I am to see how this championship battle is going to play out.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be definitely a cutthroat weekend. I hope that the weather's good and it's a throwdown race and everybody can just come out swinging, because it's going to be.
You actually for cool Pomona, then, huh?
What's that?
You actually for cool Pomona.
Oh, yeah.
Let's now see how the rest of the day shaped out in Top Fuel Eliminator. This is your Top Fuel ladder here from the NHRA Nevada Nationals. A lot of other guys we have to talk about, like Kelly Harper making his Top Fuel debut here this weekend. What do you think about that, Dave, driving for Todd Payton?
I thought it was very impressive. I mean, that car was going down A to B every pass in qualifying, solid runs in the 380s, improving a little bit, 383, 381, 382. I would say that was an impressive debut for him, for sure. And even a solid first-round match up against Austin Prock. Really, to take nothing away from that, Austin obviously just, like they always say, when you come up against these guys, you're not going to come out there. You're not going to go, run a 370. Just get it down the track. He goes 3.806, improved. It was a career best again, 317 miles an hour. And, Austin goes out there, goes 371. There's not much you can do to compete against that. But I would say an impressive debut. Good job to that team and the Payton Top Fuel team for sure.
No, for sure. I echo all those sentiments. Qualified 14th with a great 381. Came up just a little bit short against Austin Prock. And got to give a shout out to Rod Passy as well. Career best numbers here this weekend out here in Las Vegas. A good weekend for that team.
Yeah, for sure. Career best numbers to get him in the show. First 3s and 300, I believe they said. So that's great to get him in the 16th spot. And shout out to return to top fuel competition for Luigi Novelli, who struggled in qualifying. It was the only car to DNQ, but first race back since having his medical emergency back at Norwalk in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. But in the end, Mike Salinas, he gets the win, second win of the season, ninth of his career, and he is back in this championship fight going into Pomona, California, the final race of the season, In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip in just a few weeks. Let's now take a look at some comments before we move on to Nitro Funny Car. Scott Purley, he has a question, who tunes into all of our shows. He says, are tires becoming a problem? He asks.
Hard to say. I mean, we've seen the last few races. We got a nod in the background saying yes. We got a remember back to Doug Coletta's left rear, or was it left rear or the right rear that Doug lost at Reading? But he lost a tire at Reading. Clay lost one over here at Las Vegas, and it's going to be interesting to see if that is in fact the case.
So I want to bring Monday Morning Racer in for this, because he actually can talk about this better than I can, with Doug. With Doug Foley a few weeks ago out of Dallas. So fill us on the whole tire situation with Doug Foley and his team a few weeks ago at the Texas Motorplex.
You're interrupting my breakfast while I'm working.
Hey, you should be honored to be on Inside the NHRA, the only live NHRA post-race show in the world.
I've been on the whole show just up there.
That is true.
So what he's referring to, Doug Foley informed me that there at Texas, the track had so much teeth. It was so good, possibly too good, that they lost a set of slicks every pass, whether they were in the groove or out of the groove. That is what was happening there at Texas. I'm sure that was not the only group either. So certainly pushing the limits right now of what Goodyear can do. Can I go back?
You're good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Slacker.
Which is unusual because Goodyear has stated, and actually most of the teams and drivers have stated, that these tires are good for 340 plus, and they have faith in them, they trust them, and could just be a signal that maybe we need to back up some track prep here a little bit or take a little wing out of them. We're not seeing the problem in Funny Car. It just seems to be a top fuel problem from what I can tell. So are they the problem? No, I don't. I mean, we'll see. And if so, then Goodyear will learn from it, come back, and they'll build a better one, just like they always have.
No, for sure. Briar Star, he's tuning in. He says, "Sup, boys?" And then Toby Warren says, "Stop taking dives." We'll get into that in just a little bit about stop taking dives in pro stock coming up. Thank you for that comment, Toby. I appreciate that. And Dujane Bland says, "You never count yourself out. Coaches speak. Lame." And then he also goes on to say, Salinas went out there and put both foot in the cheeks of the field. We all know he's capable of doing these things. Just say we've shown that we're contenders and we found the consistency today. So definitely right there from Dujane Bland. Definitely appreciate you for tuning in. And Mike Salinas, like you said, second win of the season, 9th of his career, and making this thing a pretty interesting fight with one race left to go going into Pomona, California. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump into pro stock motorcycle.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.
I've said this time and time again. In 2023, The freight train continues in pro stock motorcycle. Gage Herrera gets the win once again, 10th win of the season, 10th of his career. And guess what? He ties Matt Hines for the most wins in a single season in pro stock motorcycle history. The great season, the historic season for Gage Herrera continues here in 2023. He wins the Nevada Nationals from the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, another just awesome, amazing performance for Gage Herrera. I mean, what else can you say? Really, if you look back over the whole season, Denver, Colorado, Hector Arana Jr., number one qualifier. That's the only time he hasn't even been number one all year. It's pretty much almost swept the season. 13 number one qualifiers in 14 races, 10 wins, low ET, world record at Dallas. He's 10 points away from a championship. I mean, just an awesome, dominating performance for that rider and team.
And like you mentioned, he just missed clinching the world championship here this weekend by just 10 points. You think going to Pomona, he says, Eddie Krawick says, hey, let's switch bikes for this last race so I can get my 50th. Let's go out in style. You think so? So final round of Pomona. It's Eddie Krawick and Gage Herrera once again. Eddie going for win number 50. Gage going to try to break the record for most wins in a single season. That would be interesting storyline right there.
Yeah, but Gage is going to win it, so it's not really.
Maybe
the swapping the bikes storyline would be pretty interesting to see, and I think Gage would probably still win the thing.
You think he'll still win it?
Well, look at it this way, and the only reason I say that is because whatever they found on one, why wouldn't they do it to the other?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they have the same setups? So.
Yeah, another dominating weekend for Gage Herrera, number one qualifier, low ET, wins the race. So we're going to jump right to the final round. It's Gage Herrera, Eddie Krawick for the trophy here at Las Vegas. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Of course. Eddie's in no hurry. Gage is being, Gage is being deferential to his elder statesman teammate. Oh, now he's going to throw a couple revs at him. There goes Gage. That's respect. Eddie was out first, 50-63. Sorry, Eddie, not your day again. Gage Herrera goes 675.5 at 198 miles an hour to collect yet another victory on this tour and to all but 100% lock down this world championship. Effectively, all he has to do now is show up to Pomona, California, his 10th win in his 11th final round.
Well, Gage has his 10th career Wally in his hand. And, Gage, I have to go back to a post that Brian Loans found here this weekend where 365 days ago, just a little bit more, you were asking for money to participate in this race, and now you're holding your 10th Wally, double digits. Eddie tried to rattle you. Can anything get to you?
I mean, anything's possible. I just got all the confidence in the world in my whole team. Andrew, the whole Vance Hines Mission Suzuki team, and just Gen 3 Hayabusa, it's been on rails all weekend, all season. And yeah, a year ago, I never would have expected me to be in in the situation I am today, and I'm very thankful for all the opportunity. And that was a big one. That was 3 finals for us as a whole team, together. And unfortunately, I took Ed out again and not allowing him to get his 50th. But all in all, we're going home with the Wally, and I'm very happy. Woo!
Congratulations to Gage Herrera and that whole Vance and Hines team. And you think about it, if it wasn't for stumbling in Reading, he would have wrapped up the championship here this weekend, and we could be going to Pomona talking about a sweep of the countdown if it wasn't for Reading, that first race out.
I agree. It's something I was going to bring up if you go back to Matt Smith's back-to-back wins at Indy and Reading. But yeah, he has been pretty well dominant throughout the countdown, and just a couple of glitches that in race day have cost him basically from already not only locking up the championship, but already having the most wins on the season. And by the time it's all said and done, this is going to be definitely the record for Pro Stock Motorcycle. The question is going to be, can he better it next year?
And Dugenet has a great comment. Well, first let's go with Briar Starr's comment. He says, how will this season for Gage be remembered 20 years from now from your guys' opinions? And then, so just, going off that, you think about it, everybody talks about 1994, Dave Schultz, 9 of 11, of course, one of the best seasons ever. You think to Matt Hines, 1998, 10 wins, out of those 3 seasons, Gage 2023, Dave Schultz 94, or Matt Hines 98, which one do you think, kind of stands out from the rest?
I'm trying to think back to I know that they were dominating performances as far as round wins and race wins, but I don't remember if they had that much of a gap over the next best motorcycle.
Yeah.
At least when you had those seasons that were happening, it was Matt versus Angel, and it could go either way. They were pretty close in performance. You had Dave Schultz and John Myers put epic battles together. Gage this year is in a league of his own, and as Dugenais also commented, which you'll bring up here with the again with the track record and 5 extra pounds at this particular one after the Dallas event, yes, but that's not the first time this year. They're riding probably about 15 or 20 pounds heavier from Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
And it still hasn't stopped him. And it still hasn't brought the field together. I mean, he's still we were watching qualifying and I'm like, man, okay, so and Eddie's bike goes out there. He runs a 680, 685, and he's gapping the field. And then Gage comes up and goes to 77. And I'm like, you just got to be 030 on the tree or better, and you can't lose at that point. So whatever they've got, whether it's riding ability, whether it's just the entire setup, I don't know. I don't know how you put it, but I would say that the amount of rules changes and the amount of dominance over even your team bike, which obviously back then you didn't have a teammate. Dave Schultz didn't have a team bike. They didn't have a team bike for the other Vance and for Matt Hines. And they still went out there and did it. Now they have 2 bikes out there, and they're even crushing their teammate. So I would say Gage's this year would take precedence over that simply for those reasons, and that's just my opinion behind it. From what I remember from the other seasons, I know that Dave Schultz and John Myers, they had some epic battles, and it could have went either way. Dave won a lot of races on some John Myers red lights too. So and Angel and Matt, that could have went either way, but Gage, he's just out there dominating, man. He's out there doing his thing and crushing it.
And Matt Hanley, he has a comment. He says, the question now becomes, how long will NHRA allow for Gage to dominate? No way they allow this from year after year. But like you mentioned, they strap 5 pounds on here at one race. They strap 5 pounds on them again at another race, and they just continue to just keep on dominating and dominating. They're putting the work in, getting the job done.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe that, or the 5. Maybe they know that it's coming, so they're testing ballast on the bike. So when the next 5 pounds come, they know exactly where to put it. And he's still got a 103, 104, 60 foot time, because they're like, yeah, we're probably going to see another 5 pounds in Pomona. Let's play with it over here. Let's do this. Let's do that. Sometimes you could use it to your tuning advantage.
For sure. So Dugenais, he says he goes Gage 2023, Matt Hines 1998, and Dave Schultz 94. He puts it in that order. Greatest pro style motorcycle seasons ever. That's where he goes. I would agree with you on that, Dugenais. I wouldn't argue with you on that one. That's how I put it.
Yeah, it's all speculative and opinionative. So
right?
You can put it any way you want. At the end of the day, they're all champions, and they all dominated their class in that particular season. So, congrats to all of them.
Yeah, let's now see how the rest of the day played out in pro style motorcycle. Unfortunately, Matt Smith, he got bounced out in the first round of John Hall, but you see right there in the number 16 qualifying position. Great to see Angie Smith back on the bike here this weekend.
It really was. When she was up in the announce booth on Friday, she was like, well, look for me back on a bike soon. And little do we know that meant the very next day she got out there, just made a nice, easy pass, if you'd call it that, on a motorcycle. I think she went at 12 something still at 80 or 90 miles an hour just to get it down the track and put it in the show and get herself some points to, like she had said, kind of stay in the top 10 here. As we go through the rest of the year. She didn't want to drop too far. It's going to be close. She did fall to 8th in points, and she has an 80-point lead on 11th place Chris Bostic. So it'll be interesting to see if she does or does not stay in the top 10, and how many motorcycles show up in Pomona, and if they end up doing the same thing just to get some qualifying points.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to respect it. After, she came off the bike a few races ago, I thought she was done for the season. I'm like, we won't see her again until Gainesville, maybe in after Gainesville, but for her to come back here this weekend, and get back on the bike and do what she did, you got to respect it, full on right there. So shout out to Angie Smith making a return here at the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And shout out to Jerry Savoy as well. Obviously with Chase Van Zandt going down a couple weeks ago, he makes it to the semifinals. So good weekend for White Alligator Racing, I would say.
And Gianni Evaristo on the other side in the semifinal round against Eddie Krawick. As the day progressed, it could have been a Valley Services Salinas family double up here which could come one of these days. You never know.
No, for sure. And we're going to the track where Gianna got her first win at, back in 2019, one of the craziest days in pro stock motorcycle history.
Yes,
a few years back.
You never know how it might play out.
You never know. You never know. Before we move on, let's now take a look at the pro stock motorcycle point standings. And like you see, Gage Herrera with an insurmountable lead with one race left to go and 181 markers over his teammate Eddie Krawick. Matt Smith third, 269 points out. Hector Ronner Jr. fourth. And Gianna Evaristo rounds out the top 5. And like you see, Gage Herrera will wrap this up in qualifying out at the In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip. And congratulations to Gage Herrera, 10th win of the season, 10th of his career, and leading the points. And he is your soon-to-be 2023 Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champion here in 2023. All right, Dave. Well, Top Fuel's in the books. Pro Stock Motorcycles in the books. Let's now move on to the floppers. Nitro Funny Car. All right, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Sunday night, sun setting, funny car final, 2 stealth bodies. Bob against Bob. Robert Height, Bob Tasca, Chevy versus Ford. I mean, it don't get no bigger than that. Tasca has to pedal, and Robert Height, he gets the win. 65th of his career, one of the greatest of all time, 4th of the year, and he firmly puts himself back into this championship fight when one race left to go. You remember what happened last year. Robert Height, with that all-time great season, career year, 8 wins, fell just short of a championship. I think redemption is on his mind going into Pomona in a few weeks.
Oh, I wholeheartedly 100% agree. They've got that car running on mean right now. It's a shame, I will say, for both Nitro finalists, Justin Ashley in Top Fuel and Bob Tasca in Funny Car, that they did have to pedal it in that left lane. But that was definitely an epic, like you say, stealth bodies. They're all in no paint mode. Just put some stickers on it. Let's get the lowest ET we can get. And but that, I mean, and we'll talk about it as we get through the day. Robert's 381. I mean, lowest funny car run we've seen in 6 years is incredible. They've got that car running on mean. They've got it consistent now, which is hard. That's something they've struggled with. And if they can keep that going into Pomona, we know they've got a setup for that track.
Yeah.
And it's we see the same thing in Top Fuel. Funny Car is the same way. It's going to be a 3-way winner-take-all battle. I think they're close enough in points that you're probably not even going to gain a round. You're not going to get somebody over 30 points. So really coming into race day, it's whoever goes furthest, and that's what the fans love to see.
Yeah, and just like Mike Salinas, a dominating weekend. Obviously, we know with Bob Tasca's Q4 run getting DQ'd, Robert Height automatically becomes the number 1 qualifier, but he's still number 1 qualifier, wins the race, low ET of the event. I mean, just a dominating weekend for Robert Height, Jimmy Prock, and that whole team. Here's the question, though. So, obviously, the Cornwell Tools stealth body they've been running lately, which is a beautiful body. I mean, were they scheduled to run a AAA body at Pomona? Like, I mean, if they were, do you run the AAA body at Pomona, or you keep the Cornwell Tools body on at In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip?
If they do, they probably just scrape the Cornwell Tools off and put AAA stickers on it and leave
True,
it alone.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You might have a stealth AAA body coming in here into
stealth
Pomona.
AAA body. You're right. That's how you do it. Exactly.
But I don't know that it even. It's hard to say what the difference would be between the bodies. But I think that at this point, you go with what you know and you keep that one on it, and you just swing for the fence, because that's going to be every point counts, every qualifying point counts. I still think that they're all going to stay pretty relatively close. The only thing is you got 3 guys and only 2 spots in the final, so somebody's going to be disappointed before we get there.
No, for sure. I definitely do agree with that. Let's now take a look at the highlights in Nitro Funny Car. Let's kick it off with our first matchup. It's one of our championship contenders. It's Bob Tasca taking on Steven Dencham. And what a drag race is going to be right here. Bob Tasca, he gets lucky. He's struggling. Dencham trying to drive around him, but unfortunately is not able to. And Bob Tasca gets the win. He survives around number 1, 4.347 at 226. Bob Tasker moving into round number 2, but he survived right there. I tell you what, I bet you he had a heart attack when those tires started to come loose in that opening round.
It's not the first time that he's experienced that in eliminations on race day where he's had to pedal it or he's gotten away with one against some of these slower cars.
And he mentioned it just a second ago, the run of the year, 3.81 seconds, quickest run since 2017, quickest run in the stand-up header area. I mean, man, what a great run from Robert Hight, 381 with a 332 miles per hour run of the year.
And how about Jeff Deal going red? He's way out there, and he still gets beat to the finish line, runs 403s, 093 red, and Hight still chases him down.
Then it's your reigning champion, Ron Capps, taking on Alex Laughlin in that big Jim Dunn racing car. Ron Capps was ahead, but has problems at the top end. And how about this? Alex Laughlin gets it done once again, 4th consecutive race where he's won around, and that pretty much ends Ron Capps' championship hopes here in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, he was, I believe, 99 back going in, needed a big Las Vegas race day, just like the other top fuel contenders we were talking about. But that first round loss is definitely going to put him out.
And then Matt Hagan and Terry Haddock and Dickie Venables just straight and true right down the racetrack. Matt Hagan, 3.889 at 330 miles per hour. Another one of our championship contenders. He moves on into round number 2 here at the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So we talked about the big 4 coming in of Tasker, Hagan, Hight, and Capps. Well, Capps, he's the one to go down in round number 2. So let's now move on into the quarterfinals of Nitro Funny Car. We'll kick it off first off with Bob Tasker and Cruz Petragon. And Tasker's going to struggle here once again. Obviously had the problems in round number 1, has a cylinder out. As soon as he hits the throttle in the round number 2, they don't shut it off, but he takes it on down through there. Bob Tasker moving into the final 4, 3.986 at 316 miles per hour. But they would get it fixed in the semifinals, as we'll see in just a little bit. Then it's Robert Hight, and it's Alexis DeJoria. Robert Hight with another strong run, 3.859 at 333 miles per hour. Robert Hight doing what he needs to do, continuing to win rounds, continuing to add points. Robert Hight's moving into the semifinals.
And it was really interesting. Did they ever say what happened with Cruz?
Not sure. And then final pair, Matt Hagan, Paul Lee. Paul Lee running good all weekend long, but again, Dickie Venables and Matt Hagan right down the racetrack. Another strong run. Matt Hagan, 3.892, 331 miles per hour. And that sets up a titanic matchup in the semifinals between your number 1 and 2 in the points, Matt Hagan and Bob Tasker. Let's now move on into that matchup right now, because I would tell you what, that was huge in terms of the championship going into the semifinals. And it's right here. It's Matt Hagan and it's Bob Tasker. Tasker needs to win this round right here to gain ground on Hagan. If Hagan wins right here, he's going to add to his lead. Top end, Bob Tasker going to get the win side by side to the finish line. He gets the win, 388 to a 390. They actually fell off. Hagan did in the semifinals. Bob Tasker keeps his championship hopes alive and moves into the semifinals, 3.886 at 332 miles per hour. Bob Tasker with a clutch round win here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
That was amazing. And Hagan got the jump off the line, and he needed every bit of it. Unfortunately, came up 9,000 short. Like you said, he fell off. If he would have had another 89, total different story going into the finals. And just like Tasker, Hight needs to do the same exact thing. With the points leader going out, he needs to win around the game to gain ground here in this championship fight, and he does just that. 3.868 at 330 miles per hour. He has a bracket car, 381, 385, 386. It's Bob Tasker. It's Robert Hight. It's your final round of Nitro Funny Car here in Las Vegas. Let's take a look at that final round right now. The battle of the stealth cars.
Tasker's got a pedal. Robert Hight goes roaring down, and Hight goes a 385-1 at 326 miles an hour. Bob Tasker, the third's car, began to shake the tires. He pedaled valiantly, 423.5 at 268. Hight is your winner.
Oh, he was just waving to his daughter, Autumn, on FaceTime. And gosh, we were talking to your crew chief just about the masterpiece that you guys have had this weekend. When you think of a championship on a whole, how much of that will be reflected in a weekend just like this?
Oh, it's going to be everything. You know, we dug ourselves a hole in Dallas, and we knew we had to come in here. It was almost a must-win situation. And, you know, these other guys are running right with us. We're not running away with this thing. This Camaro, in fact, Chevrolet's going to be very happy with that right there. But you know what? I thought to myself as I'm staging, you look in this beautiful sunset here in Vegas, and you just want to drive off in the sunset, but at least we're carrying a Wally. And you know what? Cornwell Tools, they were finally here for a win. Pomona is going to be exciting. Yeah!
What's up with the close-up on Robert during the interview?
The camera guy was messed up on that one. He was hitting the wrong button. He hit the zoom button on accident.
Oh man, but like I said, Robert Hight, one of the greatest of all time, 65th career win in Nitro Funny Car, 4th of the season, 2nd in the countdown. And let's now take a look at the Funny Car point standings with one race left to go as we move into Pomona, California. As you see it, Matt Hagan still has the lead, 15 points over Bob Tasca. In third, Robert Hight, he moves into just 17 points. Your top three separated by less than a round with points and a half going to Pomona. Man, this is going to be a crazy fight going into In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip.
It really is. And Ron Capps, unfortunately, I don't even think he's not even going to get enough qualifying points to get to 120 back to have an outside chance. So he's pretty well done. John Force on down is done. John just clinging to try and be a top 5 position this year. Alex Laughlin, top 10 in points. There at the bottom, we see him. He's pretty solid year in that Jim Dunn car in his first season. But like you said, top 3, I don't know that they're going to be far enough apart from each other, because even if one of them gets 4 points, the other one's probably going to get 2 or 3 in the session. They're going to be low in each of the sessions. It's going to be a winner take all Sunday at Pomona. And those are going to be your heavy hitters. It's probably going to play out, I would say, similar to Las Vegas. Wherever you end up on one side of the ladder, you're going to have 2 of them against each other in the semis, with the other one potentially there in the finals. So I just hope that it's one of those long race days, and we don't have it all decided where they all lose in round 2 or something stupid, and it goes back to by default. So
Dave, we always have a lot of superstars on the show. We had Joe Costello on the last show, Erica Enders. Well, would have had Erica Enders if it wasn't for Monday Morning Racer being a rookie. Who else? We had Allie Bland, but we have React 104 in the green in the media center right now, and I just want to get them on camera real quick. Just add to the superstar list of 2023, just for a second. Just for a second. Just one of the best guys out here. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Before I let you go, just your thoughts on the whole race yesterday. Big time race. Robert Hight, Mike Salinas get themselves back in the championship contention. Gage Herrera and Erica Enders all but wrap up their championships. Just your thoughts overall of yesterday.
Yeah, Vegas never disappoints, does it? Pomona's going to be wild. Obviously, there were a couple people that had a chance to kind of pull away from the points lead. But given that it's still up in the air, I think it's going to be a lot of fun for us to go and watch.
Definitely. Thank you. I know I put you on the spot. I appreciate your time, man. And yeah, man, enjoy yourself here today. All the superstars here on Inside the NHRA, right? No, nothing. I mean, he's on every show, so it doesn't really matter. What are you working on, Lee?
The report that we're not done with alcohol yet.
Yep. Some big guys testing today too, right?
Yes.
Lyle Greenberg. Was I supposed to say that out loud?
I know nothing.
I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. No. Cut that part of the show out, all right? Cut this out. Cut this part of the show out. I know we're live, but we'll cut it out later. What were we talking about?
Well, we were
we're an actual
about
funny car, right?
We got all these celebrities there. Why didn't you get the winners in? It's Monday morning. They're just kind of mulling around the pits. Why didn't you get them in here to be on the show? Come on, Darren.
Yeah, Lee, why don't you go on the pits and be a pit reporter and get some winners on the show? Why don't you do that? Hey, alcohol hasn't run yet. We got time. I'm joking. I'm joking. All right, let's get back focused.
That right there was the story of Funny Car.
Yeah, what's your opinion on BT3 Q4 being DQ for the header angle being off about eighth of an inch, cost them 3 bonus points? Your thoughts on that, Dave?
Well, it didn't cost them just 3 bonus points. It cost them the extra point for being number 1 qualifier too on the ladder, and it changed the whole shape of the ladder by doing that. So my thoughts are, I think Bob Tasca handled it very well. If you read the news article and his comments on Competition Plus, he had mentioned, hey, you know what? It's their ball game. It's their court. I'm just here to play in it. We went through. They cleared us. We passed tech. We got the winner. We got the number 1 qualifier hat. We did the interviews. We did everything. We were all good. Then they came back and were like, you know what? We changed our mind. You know what? We're going to toss that run. So that's the hard part, is after you've already awarded it, after you've already told them, okay, you're good to go. It's hard to come back and throw it out. And like I say, you change the field, change the ladder. That could have been very easily a Robert Hight, Matt Hagan semifinals with Task on the other side of the ladder to meet him in the finals. So it's a shame. But I guess the handling of it is more where the controversy comes in. The rule is the rule. Like he said, the header angle is legal. The angle was not a problem, but they also have a rule for header width. And he said that they sag over time, and it was just off by 1/8 of an inch. Was it a important performance factor? No, probably not. But, and I didn't realize this, but apparently there had been some talk and some rumors about guys trying to cheat and use a little bit extra laid back headers, especially some of those really quick runs we've been seeing. And I'm sure that they were over there measuring everything they could measure on Knight's car after that 381 first round. But it's very interesting, and you would hate to see a championship or a potential championship battle ruined or lost on a technical infraction.
Yes.
Same thing like in the pro stock category when we get to them with the elite cars getting tossed for the way that they had their auto shutoff devices wired.
And that's I thought you were done. You got it.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
And that's what made this funny car final so much bigger. And I haven't gone back and listened to it myself, but apparently, and you know, I don't want to start anything, but apparently Tony Schumacher alluded to somebody, you know, kind of complaining about the header angle, which the person he was alluding to was Robert Height, correct? And so
Tony Pedregon, wasn't it?
Tony Pedregon was alluding, you know, and it was alluding to Robert Height, you know, was one of the guys complaining about it. And, you know, there's a little bit of animosity, I would say, going into that funny car final between Bob. And, you know, that's what made that final even bigger than what it was.
Right.
I would say.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and there was seemingly animosity throughout the season. I could have swore, wasn't there something after Topeka where they kind of had some words with each other, and there's definitely no love lost between those two championship contenders. And I hope that they don't get too involved and wrapped up in themselves, that they let Hagan just run away with it, you know?
Hey, remember Gainesville, like 2014, when obviously, you know, Tasker was always like a fourth JFR car, and, you know, I mean, kind of technically back in the day when he was running Ford, and he started running Schumacher parts, and Robert Height, you know, at the top, it was like, I can't wait to beat that Schumacher car, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not quoting him, you know, but yeah,
no,
that was
I mean, it's just the way that it is, you know, and it goes back and forth, and there's always a storyline behind it, and definitely no love lost there. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's to the level of, say, a John Force and Cruz Pedregon rivalry. But it's good. It's good to have people that just don't like each other and genuinely want to beat the other one. Ford versus Chevy, and you know, a lot of storylines behind there. Another comment here: if he did qualify number one and race Jeff Deal first round, Deal doesn't red light. Tasker goes out there, struggles. Maybe the Q4 issue was a blessing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how it could have played out? But the ladder could have played out differently. A lot of things could have changed differently, just because of technical infractions.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that was the other one. I saw Bob Tasca's comments on it. Is that the same reason that J.R. Todd's run got thrown out, as well as Jeff Deal's in that final qualifying session?
Hey, Lee, did they ever give a reason for J.R. Todd and Jeff Deal's run being DQ'd? Yeah, I didn't hear anything either. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why their runs got thrown out either. Not sure.
So they probably would, because I guess technically it wasn't NHRA who said why Tasca's run got thrown out. Tasca himself did an interview and was like, "This is why they dinged me." So I guess NHRA, well, I guess even with Erica's stuff, they just said technical infraction, and it was Richard Freeman who came out and said this is what they found and this is what they didn't like. So I guess NHRA doesn't really want to go into detail about the stuff, so it's up to the teams to say why or why not.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
Would you like them to be a little more transparent in these situations?
Yeah, I think so. Just like NASCAR, you remember used to have the inspection table where they would go, and after tech inspection, all the illegal parts they would confiscate. They just lay out at the table for all the teams to walk by and see. You'd have fuel filler necks out there and air cleaners and all kind of stuff at Daytona at the start of the season. Everything that failed, and they'd be like, "I'll take that," and they put it on display for everybody else to see. They are very transparent with anything that they disqualify somebody for or penalize or take points away for. And I do wish that NHRA would be the same, because if you don't, then people start questioning and making their own theories. And that's, you know, that's where you run into the problem. You know, like Richard Freeman said in the pro stock deal, you got 4 or 5 elite cars getting runs tossed. They're starting, you put that perception in the fans' heads. You're like, the elite team must be cheating, and they're doing it with 5 cars. So what do they got going on? What are they doing? And that's not the case. It was just a simple technical infraction. You throw out 3 funny car runs, and you know, Tasca at least comes out and says this is what it is, and it looks like Matt Hanley says yes, same reason for the other 2 being the case. But you could just say, hey, this is why they got their run tossed. I mean, they said why they DQ'd Clay Milliken from the event because he had loose ballast. They said why they penalized Mike Salinas because of a weight issue. You know, just put it out there and don't let people speculate, because the more vague you are, the more people speculate and the worse off it is.
Hey, but hey, if NHRA want to announce it, we know where we can go. CompetitionPlus.com. We're streaming that live right now. So want the scoop? Go to CompetitionPlus.com. We're streaming live on CompetitionPlus.com too right now. And so make sure to like this show, share this show, and let everybody know we're breaking down the 2023 NHRA Nevada National, the penultimate race of the 2023 season. Hey, it's superstars galore right now. I'm about to put somebody else on the spot real quick. I just want him to wave real quick and say hi to the audience. Chris Bishop, Racing Pro Media in the background right there. Yeah, just wave to live here on Inside the NHRA, you know, here on CompetitionPlus.com. So really do appreciate that. But, you know, just final thoughts on Robert and Tasca. Like I mentioned, that is championship drag racing at its best. Sunday afternoon, sun setting, final round, Chevy versus Ford, championships on the line, championships hanging in the balance. Don't get no bigger than that. I mean, it was awesome.
I wish it would have been a flames up to the finish line battle. That's all.
Oh, for sure.
That's all.
I mean, yeah. No, but I mean, just, you know, what an awesome deal. And like I mentioned, with Robert Height's season last year, 8 wins, career year, for him to come up that short of a championship, I think redemption is definitely on not just his mind, but Jimmy Proc's mind as well, going into Pomona, you know. And just like with Doug Coletta, you know, hey, you give Alan Johnson a shot at Pomona, watch out. If we get cool Pomona, watch out for Alan Johnson. Same with Jimmy Proc.
But, you know, you keep going back to the redemption because Height gets titles stolen from him from Caps every year, it seems like, after dominating. But how about, you know, Tasca's got something to prove too. I mean, everybody thought he was done when he changed tuners, changed crew chiefs, changed his setup and all that. And he's out there and he's, I wouldn't say quietly, but it seems like it's always Hagan, Height, and Caps is all that everybody talks about. But Tasca's out here running low ETs, winning races, and I don't think he gets the recognition and respect that he deserves for being a championship contender. I mean, we've got one race to go, and he's right in the thick of it in the winner-take-all battle going down to Pomona. And there's something to be said for that. And it'd be pretty epic. And when was the last Ford that won a funny car championship?
John Force, 2013.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And I mean, just going off of Tasca, I mean, how about that clutch round win against Hagan in the semifinals? I mean, that was huge right there. That was huge. I mean, that can go either way. Like, I mean, your championship could be won or lost right there in that battle right there in that semifinal round. Yeah,
I think that Tasca's kind of like the quiet contender. Everybody talks about Hagan because he comes out and he wins all these races. Everybody talks about Height because he's been in it for so long. But, I mean, Tasca is really put together a great season. They can throw down the numbers when they need to. They can also struggle sometimes, as we've seen. They've had a couple of lucky rounds to get them there. But when the pressure's on and they need to get down the track, they get down the track. And you know how amped up Tasca can be. So I can't wait for his interviews in Pomona, too, because you know how excited he can get.
Let's now see how the rest of the day played out in Nitro Funny Car. And just anybody else, Dave, you want to mention in the flopper category?
Just shout out to some of the West Coasters that showed up there. Jeff Deal, Stephen Dencham, that came out and qualified for the show. Paul Lee had some strong runs. Terry Haddock, again, came so close to getting that 3-second run and just did miss it, unfortunately, for him. But a very surprise struggle, I would say, for Chad Green. Qualified 6th. I would call it an upset that Paul Lee took him out first round. We had been talking about what a great season he's had and what a great countdown he's had. And these back-to-back early round losses have really dropped him hard in the points. John Force, too, struggled. Beautiful gold peak 50th anniversary paint scheme here with that reflective gold finish. Did well in the early qualifying sessions. And then from Saturday on, I don't think he made a full pass down the track.
But you know who did, though? Paul Lee. You mentioned Paul Lee. Strong weekend, went down the racetrack every single run from qualifying to eliminations, gave Matt Hagan a ride in the second round. So shout out to Paul Lee and, you know, Jason Bunker. And obviously got John Mellon over there helping out with that race car. So shout out to that whole team right there. Definitely. Dave, it's that time of the show. Who is a high performer of the race for the 2023 NHRA Nevada Nationals?
Well, it's got to be Robert Height, right? There it is. It is Robert Hyde. He's wearing the wrong fire suit, though. He's got Brittany's suit on for some reason. But congratulations to Robert Hyde, low ET of the season, low ET of the past 6 years, #1 qualifier, wins the race, low ET, top speed, puts himself right back in the championship hunt. And that's going to be an interesting Pomona for Robert Hyde and the rest of the team.
Robert Hyde, 65th career win, 4th of the season, and he is back in this championship fight just less than a round out with one race left to go going into Pomona, California. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys all for tuning into this special Monday morning edition of Inside the NHRA. As you can see, the media room is starting to fill up. We're getting very close to the continuation of Lucas Oil Sportsman Series action, so we're going to try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. We're going to take one more quick break, and we're going to wrap up the show with Pro Stock Car.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
The dominance for Erica Enders continues here at the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. She picks up her 10th career win here from Las Vegas, and she is on the brink of her 6th Pro Stock World Championship here in 2023. Great performance for Erica Enders here in Las Vegas, Dave.
Oh, I don't think she's on the brink. I think she's pretty well going to get
Got
that.
it all sewn up. Huh? It's sewn up.
Oh yeah, she's getting the trophy and the check Saturday night in Pomona for sure. Because I think she's going to get enough session points and enough position points to wrap it up in qualifying. A very, very, very outside chance, and it makes you wonder if, when you know that that's going to be the case, what does Greg do? You can't go out there. You can't play the ladder. You can't go out there like he did a couple years ago. Remember, he tried to play it so he'd get Erica first round and seal his own destiny. You can't do that, because if you try and play the ladder and you give her all the session points, it's over before Sunday even starts. So he's just got to go out there and do his best, run the deal. But I'm pretty sure after Saturday night, Pomona is going to be a hell of a celebration in the elite pits.
No, for sure. Like you mentioned, she's on her, not on the brink. She pretty much has this thing sewn up, about to clinch her 6th Pro Stock World Championship, tying, like I mentioned, one of my favorite Pro Stock drivers of all time, the Professor, Warren Johnson, in just a few weeks. So kind of a rookie move on my end. I don't think I uploaded the Pro Stock final round. I'm looking for it, and I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere in the thing. Lee, if you want to do me a solid real quick and upload this Pro Stock.
Not do you a solid. I do it myself solid.
So no Pro Stock final, right?
No.
Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna try to upload this Pro Stock final real quick for the show. Dave, just keep talking. I'm gonna do my deal real quick over here.
All right, where are we going here? Where are we going with that? We'll go back to, how about so many storylines here. The amount of Pro Stock cars that showed up and came out to race here at Las Vegas was great to see. Not only, they've had full fields all year long, but at this race in particular, 22 cars. Feel bad for Alan Brzezinski. He comes out all the way from New Jersey. He's the lone Dodge campaigner, still struggled, bottom of the line, bottom of the lineup, unfortunately for him. Some other notable DNQs. Chris McGahey seemed like he was resurging, was picking up the performance a little bit, getting rounds. Now all of a sudden, another DNQ. Eric Latino in one of the KB cars was a DNQ, was a surprise. Joey Gross, Steve Graham came out there. Kenny Delco, they were also on the DNQ list, which is something you don't really see in the pro classes anymore. You have 6 drivers that don't even make it to Sunday eliminations. But how about the return of Jeg Coughlin coming back? And we'll get to him too, I'm sure, as Darren's going to have something to say about that when he ended up facing Erica Enders in the Battle of Red Cars in the semifinals. But Great to see Jeg back on it. Fernando Quadra.
You saying he took a dive? That's what you're saying? You saying he took a dive? That's what you're saying?
Well, I mean, he had parachutes out at 1,000 foot, so you tell me. Was the car out of shape?
It was a dive. But you keep talking.
But look at it this way. All right, so they had the camera sticking out of the passenger window of Erica's car. And he was a half car behind anyway, so it technically wasn't really a dive because he wasn't going to drive her out. I mean, she had the best car all weekend long anyway, next to Greg Anderson. They were both kind of trading it back and forth on Sunday, but he wasn't going to drive around her in that race, that's for sure. So I wouldn't really technically call it a dive. People could see that it would be potentially like that. She left first and never looked back. And it wasn't like a Troy Coughlin Jr. dive of a couple years ago when he had the chutes out and shut it off and brought that whole diving controversy back to attention with the elite team. But I think that pro stock in general, just watching every session as they came down the track, hundredths of a second in between everybody. And shout out to the top fuel teams also for that, with being able to be as close to each other as they could. I mean, just the pro stock category as a whole, like we were starting to say there before we got about the dive thing, Fernando Quadra, he made the field first time throughout the whole countdown that he's been in the show. And this was the first race that he ever qualified for way back in 2004. So it's nice to see him back in the show. Surprising to see Derek Kramer so far down on the list, but I mean, 660 put you third, 663 put you all the way back to 14th. I mean, you had such a small window and a small margin for error for what you were doing. But the Quadras, man, third and fourth in qualifying for the boys, and Fernando 13th. They just got a knack for this Vegas track. I don't know what it is, but they love coming here. They have good success here. They run well here. Surprising to see the KB cars is, I wouldn't say as a whole, but because Kyle Koretsky went out there, he was low ET. He was number one qualifier. But Greg didn't really have the best car, middle of field qualifier, which gets you Aaron Stanfield first round, not a matchup you'd expect. Matt Hartford, a little bit of a struggle, only in fifth place in qualifying. Dallas Glenn, sixth place in qualifying. That was a surprise. And we talked about how strong their early seasons were, especially here at Las Vegas and Charlotte and everything along those lines. And they've kind of just, I wouldn't say struggled, but it's kind of tapered off towards the end of the year. And very surprising to see that it played out the way that it did, for me anyway, with some of those guys that we had thought was going to be the new upcoming and resurgence of pro stock. And it still ended up being, as you get the final round loaded here, the two veterans of the class, Greg and Erica, going rounds and meeting in the finals again for this championship.
And I do have the final uploaded. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Greg Anderson told Bruno he knows what he needs to do. And the toughest thing in the world of drag racing to do is to know what you need to do and then actually do it. They're both pre-staged. Greg Anderson rattles the tires. Erica Enders, for the 10th time, has won at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. To achieve double-digit victories at a single facility is incredible. A 655.7 at 208 miles an hour. The second that Greg let the clutch out, Tony, even with a great 24 light, he was doomed.
Erica, to kick off the weekend, we talked about your success here in Vegas. You've won championships here, and that is now your 10th Wally that you have won at this place. What have you figured out about the Strip?
That you can't do it alone. And no matter how much negativity surrounds you, if you don't let it in your boat, it can't sink you. So I think that's the biggest lesson from this weekend is what we had to deal with, the adversity that we had to get through. And again, I say it all the time, but when our backs are against the wall, my boys performed flawlessly. Greg had lane choice up there and took the right, so my crew chiefs were thrilled. But JHG, Melling Performance, Skag. Man, I can't thank Randy and Maria at Skag enough. But this is awesome. We came in here with the lead. Greg's right on my heels, and that was a big round for us, and I'm just really proud.
I asked you earlier in the weekend if you could put one hand on that championship trophy. What about now?
Answer's still the same, Amanda. We're going to go to Pomona. We're going to pretend like we just got to give it all the effort. I give God the glory, but when you dig deep and you play with all the heart that you have, they can't get you.
Congratulations to Erica Enders, 10th win from the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The dominance continues for her and that team. Man, I tell you what, leading the points, starting to pull away, pretty much going to wrap up her 6th Pro Stock Championship out of Pomona in just a few weeks. And I mentioned 10 wins at Las Vegas. You know, you think about it, that's like John Force level dominance at Brainerd from back in the day when John Force was running roughshod at the zoo all those years back, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Every time they go to Brainerd, it's pretty much John Force is going to win it. Just who's he going to beat in the finals?
That's like Erica now here at Las Vegas.
I would say that the biggest question to be asked is who on the KB Racing team decided to take the right lane in the finals with lane choice? Because
that was interesting. That was interesting.
I think
yes.
that might be what lost it for him.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, obviously being in the crowd, you know, for that final round, to hear the sheer reaction from the crowd when Greg stumbled and Erica, you know, streaked away for the victory. It was a real Erica heavy crowd here at Las Vegas, which is it's like that at every race. But, you know, to hear that crowd reaction when Greg stumbled and, you know, to see the elite team celebrating on the starting line, that you can feel the intensity in that final round. Whenever it's Erica versus Greg, it's pretty big.
It really is. And it's a shame that, again, we didn't have a full-on run to the finish line battle in any of the finals except for the Pro Stock motorcycles. But Greg, to his credit, how about his first round and second round lights? 005, 004.
Killer, man. Killer.
I mean, he must have his teammate 00 Dallas giving him some advice there on how to set that clutch pedal up and get him off the starting line. And he was, you know, 024 in the final against Erica. She still left first, but Greg throughout the day had a car that could compete. He had 1200s in the bank in elapsed time in the semifinals, and that's what the starting line difference was. So if he could have repeated and been 1200s apart, they'd have been thousands at the finish line, and I think that would have been a way more epic final than, unfortunately, the tire shaking and shutting it off that it came out to be. We expect more when Greg and Erica race each other, and that one unfortunately did not live up to the hype.
No, and Greg needed that round to give himself at least a little bit of a chance. Still would have been tough going to Pomona, but just give himself a little bit of chance when one race left to go. And unfortunately, was unable to do it. Erica gets the win and stretches out that points lead. Let's now move on to the topic that I'm pretty sure everybody wants us to talk about: the return of the champ, the natural Jag Coughlin Jr. making his return. And man, I tell you what, looked like old Jaggy. You know, won a couple rounds. You know, went to the semifinals, 004 against Christian in round number 2. Didn't like Jag was missing a beat. Obviously, he still races now. You know, he doesn't. You know, he's not fully retired, but you know, great to see Jag back out here.
Yeah, and you know, it was just ironic because you know the Crowder boys, man, they pride themselves on those lights with those 00 and teen lights. They went out a whole shot. And Jag comes out of retirement. He's the old guy. And he comes out there, goes 004. He goes, "Hey, I ain't dead yet. I'm still out here. I can still show you guys what's up." Jag and Greg, man, that would have been a good final too. Either way, it would have went between Jag and Erica. If we would have had an Erica and Greg final or a Jag and Greg final, it would have been pretty awesome.
You think Jag would have dumped in the clutch in the final 2 against Erica?
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. You heard what they said last year. It's up to each individual driver to do what they want to do.
I'm messing with you. Nah, but just having fun. But anybody else in Pro Stock you want to go over, man? If you take a look at this Pro Stock ladder, anybody else you want to shout out?
I think I pretty much shouted them all out while you were trying to find that final round of eliminations video to get posted. But I mean, shout out to the Quadras. Father and son had to race first round. Matt Hartford going rounds. He's still third in points. Over Dallas Glenn. He went around him in points, but it just doesn't seem like 155 out. They're pretty well out of it. Dallas Glenn is the last one mathematically in contention with 179 back, but shaking the tires. He did leave first on Jag in that first round race, and just unfortunately went to that dreaded tire shake and was out of it. And it seems like that's where they're won and lost, either on the starting line or in the first 60 feet here. So.
Yeah, but in the end, Erica gets the win, 4th win of the season, 10th from the Strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and on her way to her 6th Pro Stock World Championship. So we've wrapped up everything in the Camping World Series. Let's now give a shout out to all the rest of the action that happened out the strip of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Like I said, Lucas Oil Sportsman is continuing their action here today, and they will be completed, this afternoon. But obviously, I'm big on, the NHRA Heritage Series, and the Legends Nitro Funny Car was in action, and Bobby Cottrell got the win in Legends Nitro Funny Car. Sweeps the season, Dave. Bobby Cottrell did not lose a single round all year here in 2023. The dominance, I mean, it's amazing from that team. Bucky Austin, Mike O'Brien, that whole team, they're just amazing.
That really is amazing. I mean, they made solid runs all throughout qualifying, all throughout eliminations. I believe he actually had a whole shot win or two when he needed it, if I'm not mistaken, when I was going through the results. But yeah, just awesome performance. I mean, to sweep a season, that is awesome for him. Mike Castellana coming in third in points. Long shot, ends up the Pro Mod world champ and wins the race. Terrible wreck in first round for Chris Thorne. And then Justin Bond going out round two allowed Mike to sweep by him. We also had this particular race, which they did get in time trials on Saturday, as well as eliminations on Sunday. They got all the Summit Series champions, the Summit Super Pro Sportsman, the EV class, the Pro ET, and the ET motorcycle. Billy Boyko, Jake Biscay, Joshua Rogers, Mike LaRose, and Patrick Loretto. All picking up huge wins in front of the big show crowd at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That is epic for those guys to come out, and I applaud NHRA for getting them out here and having that platform on the big show in front of the crowds.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And shout out to all of our winners and all of our other classes here at the 2023 NHRA Nevada Nationals. What an awesome event. And so many classes here, man. Like I said, aside from the Camping World Series, we had the Summit ET Series, Legends Nitro Funny Car. We had Factory Stock, Factory X. I mean, just so much action here this weekend at Las Vegas. And, man, just great to see it all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, Factory Stock, I feel bad for them. They only made it to the first round of eliminations before they got they didn't get to come back, obviously, to run. Factory X didn't get any rounds in. I know there's only 4 cars that are competing in that class, but yeah, good to see those guys over making a West Coast appearance. Top Sportsman, full field, epic as usual. Competition Eliminator out there putting on a good show. The alcohol classes, how about Angel Sampay, #1 qualifier in top alcohol dragster? I mean, adds her name to the list of surprises here at Las Vegas. I believe we've been through 2 rounds only. They only made it through the first round of Alcohol Funny Car partially on Saturday night. And then they had that big windstorm and dust storm and everything and kind of had to put them on pause. So they're going to finish it up. They finished up first round again on Sunday, but they are still into round 2. But how about Sean Bellamere dropping the boom with that 542 on Sunday in first round? Doug Gordon's still in it. Chris Marshall's still in it. The Whiteleys are still in it. Bob McCosh is still in it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Why don't you just get on the mic if you're going to comment? Just saying.
Who's commenting? Lee's out there? Is Lee want to talk about alcohol classes?
541. He's low ET right now.
What's that?
Chris Marshall went quicker, 541.
Did he? Yep. Oh, okay. I missed that. Thank you.
And Sean Bellamere and Chris Marshall will head up against each other in round 2. They're quick.
Oh, I missed that. That was down towards the end. Yep, 541, 265. Thank you for the correction.
When you're done here, get the camera that's charging, come find me in the pits, and come do the work that I'm paying you for today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jim Parker, Joey Severance, Sean Cowie, and Jackie Frick, your final 4 in top alcohol dragster. Really surprised to see Madison Payne go out on a hole shot. Thought she might go back-to-back here. Your world champ, Julie Natus, up in smoke. She's out. Casey Grizzle's out. Chris Demke's out. Angel was out first round. Tony Stewart was out first round. Just some big upsets here in the alcohol categories.
No, for sure. And like I mentioned, their continuation of eliminations is here this afternoon here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Okay, so it is really getting filled up here in the media center, and I'm pretty sure everybody wants me to shut up because I'm talking real loud, and been going on for about an hour and a half now. So any final thoughts, Dave, before we get out of here?
Pomona's going to be epic. Vegas was great. Very real possibility. John Force is going winless to the end of this season.
Yeah.
Very real.
Yeah.
Very real.
Yeah.
Very real possibility. Brittany Force goes winless to the end of the season.
Yeah. Brittany Force and John Force, still winless. One race left to go. I mean, obviously John Force's last winless season was what, 2009? That was the last time he went winless. But before that, it was what, 1986? So it's very rare when John Force goes winless during a single season.
Yeah. It's going to be, but could be the hometown cooking they need in Pomona.
Hey, we'll see. Congratulations to Gage Herrera. He gets the win in Pro Stock Motorcycle, 10th win of the season, 10th of his career, and he's all but wrapped up his first Pro Stock Motorcycle World Championship. Just like that, in Pro Stock Motorcycle, the same in Pro Stock. Erica Enders, she gets her 4th win of the season. She is all but wrapped up her 6th Pro Stock World Championship. Robert Height, he gets the win here in Las Vegas, is back in that championship fight in Nitro Funny Car, and same for Mike Salinas in Top Fuel. Congratulations to all of our winners from the NHRA Nevada Nationals. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks from Pomona. Good day, everybody.
Good day.
A lot more comments, though. Okay, for real, this time. Good day, everybody. Good morning, actually, everybody. Good morning and goodbye. Good morning and goodbye. First ever morning show. I appreciate all you guys. I love you guys. Good day.